Okay, well here it is. Hi there. All right. Is the man here? Is Dieter here? There he is, okay. Hi there. All right. This is a large turntable.
How are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Well, I'm exhausted, tired.
Oh, come on. You're
like I've been beaten up the last 2 days.
You're too young for that.
No.
Come on.
Thanks for the young.
Don't admit it. Okay, so we're with Dietrich Brakemeier here, who has designed this new turntable, and this is called the...
Apolyt. Apolyt.
How do you spell that?
A-P-O-L-Y for Yankee, T.
Okay, so walk me through it.
Pardon?
Walk me through it. Show me what you've done here.
Okay, this is basically, to start with, it's all air suspensions on 4 air springs. What is different here to other attempts in isolating on air springs, normally with a weight like this, so the suspended weight is about 200 kilograms, you don't get really low enough. What we have done, we have inside the stainless steel pillars, there are pressure tanks. So we are cascading additional volume towards the air springs. So in the whole arithmetics, with a given suspended weight, a given pressure, we are increasing by a large portion, by 20 to 30 times, the volume of the air springs, and by doing so we make it much softer and go down below 0.5.
Okay, so it isolates to a half a hertz.
Yeah. Okay. The basic idea was to isolate it in a way like you would prefer it to be with an electron microscope.
Right.
Because the dimensions of the tracking in the groove and the dimensions for an electron microscope with say 4,000 or 5,000 magnification are very, very similar dimensions.
Yeah.
Very similar. So everything that isolates you from the so-called building resonance. So the resonance frequency of the building you and the turntable are sitting in is of a great advantage to really give an uninterrupted, total clean tracking without any artificial vibration adding to the signal.
Right. Okay, and the materials you're using to fabricate this whole turntable?
All metal.
All metal. I can see.
Except for this one.
So that's Delrin or palm? Or?
Yeah, this is metacrylate, so it's very similar to the
impedance of vinyl.
To the vinyl itself. I really like it that the first contact for the vinyl is vinyl itself again.
Right. Okay.
And the platter itself is then inside. There's a dome, a half dome, which is actually filled with gel to isolate totally from the bearing and the tracking process from each other. Then we have the metacrylate. We have an isolation in between where you can see this gap. It's not touching the metal.
Nested platter.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have 75 alloy. This again resting on 1.4305 stainless steel. In the outer diameter of the lower platter are 24 tablets, 20 millimeters wide, 90 millimeters high of HD18, which is tungsten powder with nickel, non-magnetic, and with a specific weight of 18. So we are increasing the inertia immensely, and also coming down. The center of mass is approximately here, and this is exactly where the horizontal bearing plane is. So it's resting mass. It looks like a belt. It's actually what we are using is a transmission drive. So we try to combine transmission drive with controlled slippage. We are using a very large Maxon motor, so the housing is really needed, especially in high. The motor is totally filling the whole housing in terms of height. And this is featured with dynamic torque control over the Maxon controller. It means we are starting with very low torque, gradually increasing over the logic while the speed increases, and then speeding up the torque, increasing it to maximum, reaching the desired speed, and then the torque drops to absolute minimum.
Right.
And then we are working with controlled slippage, letting the inertia doing the work.
Right.
So the transmission drive is not rubberized, as usually is the case, to increase grip. We don't want that.
Right.
We want controlled slippage, having the immense inertia doing the work as soon as the desired speed is achieved, and then all the transmission drive is doing then is with very, very low torque,
Right.
preventing that it slows down.
All
That's
makes complete sense. Everything you've done makes complete sense, as I understand it.
Well, you do understand.
Yes. And these are giant organ pipes, and they play the.
They look like, I know many people made the reminds, but they are actually,
Solid.
they are filled with pressure tanks.
Ah, okay, got you.
Not all of them. These three are massive, and all the others, these four in the center, here and here, and the large corner pillars, they are with pressure tanks. And then we can cascade the additional volume towards the air springs.
Outstanding.
Then you see we have underneath the bearing, the actual plinth is actually this thick, because we have all these fortifications right where it is demanded. So extremely stiff
Yep.
plinth.
Wow.
The plinth itself is resting here in 3 points in Teflon embeddings. And the other two are just, as you know it from large machines, it's just preventing any tilting.
Right.
That's all.
Now that platter weighs a lot.
That platter has 58 kilograms.
So the thrust is a thrust pad at the bottom of that bearing.
The bearing is an bi-radial aerostatic bearing that is made by a company here in the east of Munich. It's called Aerolas. I'm giving the name freely because the bearing is so expensive, nobody else will use it.
Okay. It's a hydrostatic bearing, so
it's an aerostatic bearing.
So it's all floating. There's nothing.
It's all floating.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a 2-inch diameter axis,
Right.
completely embedded
Right.
in air, and it is elevated also completely in air.
So it's an air bear. It's an air
It's a
bear.
full air bearing, bi-radial.
Well, when can we hear this?
You will hear it in Hong Kong, because here we tried, but we didn't get a room. So it makes very little sense to make any demo here
it
in
makes
open
no
air.
sense to play it here at all.
Definitely not.
Oh yeah, well I can't wait to hear this thing.
The arm boards are 15 millimeters strong and consist of 3 layers: stainless steel, brass, and 70-75 alloy again, each with a very thin layer in between of polyurethane. So the arm actually is mounted on the upper 2 layers, while the screws and the contact to the base is only on the lowest layer, which has no direct contact with the
Okay,
outer.
so I see how you can have 4 arms, but what's that?
That one is for all those clients or customers who prefer having an air attention tangential tone arm situated in the right place. Then of course you don't use that base.
Right.
But you can, and if you for instance put down an air tangent or a Cusmar airline,
Right.
you have here in the front, you have additional supply for a tangential air tone arm with regulated pressure,
Fantastic.
up to 4 bars.
And you have an ignition key there. You turn the key, and then the motor
Turn the
starts.
key
Yeah.
and off.
And so that way you can
And
prevent
you can
people
slide
from
it. So you can only start it with key.
the key. I like that.
A friend of mine made, why don't you use the fingerprint from the iPhone?
Yeah, right.
Said, well, if the customer twisted his angle, sitting in a chair, nobody can operate the turntable.
That's
So
right.
better have a key.
Yes, I like the key idea. But now, have you estimated a price for this?
Yeah, the retail, what we agreed with our distributors, the retail will be between 260 and 280,000 euro.
I have to admit that is very reasonable for what this is, for what I see other turntables costing.
Put it that way, compared with what is around,
Yeah.
we feel quite comfortable
Yes.
with that price.
Yes, you need a lot of space, but the kind of person that can afford this usually has a lot
It's
of
a
space.
lot of space.
Now, have you sold any yet?
7. We got the orders for 7
7.
by now. We had 5 orders already before the show, and now we are at 7.
That must make you very pleased.
It's a relief
Yeah.
because we invested we had very much success last year with our tone arms,
Right.
and we took that money and finally realized concept. We had the drawings and the plans for a long time.
Now, have you made more than one of these?
Two.
Yeah. That's great. So you can do
the
it.
second one is not yet assembled. And after the experience from the day before yesterday, when we set up at show, we assembled it for the first time in such a rush. So it's very different assembling something like this in this size and with this immense amount of parts at home or in the lab over a period of days and weeks. But to assemble it for the first time in a rush in 10 hours here was...
Well, plus when you deliver one, you obviously have to deliver it and set it up.
We deliver it with 2 people.
Right.
In 9 cases, 9 flight cases.
Right.
No case heavier than 58 kilograms. And we take our time. We will assemble in 3 days because we have a lot of electricity in the backside. There's a complete Siemens logic with survey and control of the pneumatic and everything. This is the reason. This is a product where we want everything to be definite and safe.
Right.
We don't want to rush because there's a problem.
You never want to rush something like this. No.
Definitely not.
And so, as an unbiased observer, how does it sound?
I can tell you one thing. You hear the difference to other turntables before the music starts. You hear it when the stylus touches the groove.
Well, you know, that first impulse tells you so. It tells you so much about what you've done. Yeah.
It's a different, the way the room opens up before the first sound actually comes, and the sense of breath in that room. That's different.
Yeah, because
really different.
You had to design this and build one before you really you could imagine what it would sound like because you fundamentally did all the fundamentals correct. But until you build it and listen to it, you don't know.
I built 15 tables of approximately that size in the 1990s, but they were only sold in Germany, and it had the same name back then.
Yeah.
And it's things like platter size and definite things like the bearing and the air suspension were the same back then. Even the weight was the same.
Yeah.
And that turntable.
Oh, so you knew.
Yeah.
You knew,
It's similar.
Great.
It's even quieter this one. So it's the backgrounds, the missing of backgrounds, the missing of any noise from the stylus in the groove. That tells
That's
you.
what a lot of people don't understand. That the better the turntable, the quieter it's going to be. Even when there's a pop or a click, the impulses are completely controlled. They say, well, the vinyl's got a defect to begin with, and so the better your turntable, the more junk you hear. No, it's the opposite is what happens.
You know why we put that fraction of an old Decker as the background? Because that's what's all about.
That's right. That's right.
Only that.
Well, congratulations, and thank you so much.
Thank you.